Hello, thank you for clicking on this video. I'm Alex, I'm the Devil's Advocate. I talk about movies, music, video games, TV, whatever I want to talk about on this channel. Today's a very special day because it is the day after the finale, the season finale, and I hope there are more seasons, of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, a Game of Thrones story, for lack of a better title.
I was squire to Sir Arlen of Pennytree since I was a boy. He charged me to be a good knight, to defend the weak and the innocent.
It's not called that. It's just called The Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It is set in the Game of Thrones universe, somewhere between House of the Dragon and the mainline Game of Thrones story. Look, we're gonna get into spoilers, but right now I'm just gonna give you my overall thoughts. Also, forgive the bed for looking a mess. Mr. Poon is all tired and wrapped up, and I don't want to disturb him. Also, if you were expecting a album reaction for Baby Keem and his new album Casino last Friday, it was there, and then I think yesterday I woke up and it had been just taken down completely. No explanation other than copyright, which, you know, they have every right to do that, so it's disappointing. I really like that album, especially coming off his first album and then doing that and being like, oh wow, I didn't like that, but I really like this. So, unfortunately, you will no longer get to see that reaction. However, we're talking about Game of Thrones today, and I must say, when this show was announced, I think it was announced alongside like House of the Dragon, and I think a Jon Snow TV show was also floated, or a Jon Snow movie. It's kind of just throwing your hands up and going, all right, whatever. Just like Star Wars, like, okay, you're gonna announce all these shows and movies, and like, we'll see what sticks. I remember thinking, who needs a show about Cassian Andor? One character from Rogue One. Why is he so important? And then I ate my words because Andor is one of the best shows I've ever seen. So, similarly with this, I don't think it's one of the best shows I've ever seen, but it's certainly awesome. It's awesome. Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is a great TV show. It's 6 episodes, very short little mini series, I guess. And each episode is like, I think the first episode was like 40 minutes, and then each one after that was like 30. So it's quick in and out. It's not, you know, stick around and learn. And that's the best part about this show. You don't have to learn a million different names like you do with mainline Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. It's just our main character. It's Sir Duncan the Tall and his little squire, Egg, the bald-headed boy. And it's just lovable. It's lovable. In the first episode, again, we're not getting into spoilers, but in the first episode, immediately you're hit with a different tone than anything Game of Thrones you've seen before. We see our main character have to poo, right? And he goes behind a tree, but he's so tall, his head is sticking out from this side, his butt's sticking out from this side, and you see the poo flying out. Like, it immediately lets you know this is going to be funny. This is going to be a comedic toned show in the world of Game of Thrones. Now, our character also wants to be a knight. He's been squiring for an old man called Aaron of Pennytree for many years, since he was a little boy. And now that Aaron has passed away, he is taking up the mantle of being a knight, specifically a hedge knight, which we learn, I think the books are called the Hedge Knight. I know there's books that go with this. I don't read any of the books. But a hedge knight is one that's not like loyal to any specific house of lords or whatever, or any land. Hedge knight, it's kind of like a mercenary, I guess. You hire them, and then they come hang out, you know, to fight a war for you or join a tournament for you. But they won't sleep in your big encampment. They'll sleep under the hedges off to the side because, again, they have no loyal to, they're not owned by any house or country or whatever, which is kind of cool. So we see Sir Dunk practice being a knight in this first, like, I don't know, 5 minutes of the episode, and he's like pretending to like stop someone. He's like, "Sir, there is no raping allowed." And we, again, this juxtaposition from the tone of Game of Thrones that we've seen so much, where there's a lot of that allowed. And here's this dude who thinks there are laws and systems that work. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen the inner workings of the law in Game of Thrones, in House of the Dragon. It's all arbitrary, made up by rich elites, incestuous, pedophilic rich elites, much like the real world, kind of just arguing with each other, and those arguments spill out into wars and strife and famine for the people of the land, where Sir Dunk is just a guy. He's just a knight walking around trying to make a name for himself. His goal is to enter a tournament and be selected by one of the main houses, you know, the Baratheons, the Targaryens, the Lannisters and whatnot, to become a knight under their banner. And that's the plot moving forward. I will say it goes in some different directions. There's some twists and turns, but it's pretty straightforward. Again, I really appreciated that for the most part, every scene is with Sir Duncan or Egg, the little boy, bald boy squire. And it's kind of just a simple, like, I want to do good. I want to do good for the sake of doing good because it's the right thing to do. That's who this character is. He's friggin' Superman. That's why I like him. That's why it works. That's why I think the internet's going crazy for this show, because it's earnest. And there's a lack of earnesty. There has been a lack of earnesty for the last like 20, 30 years of media, where everything's ironic and everything's, I'm too cool for school. It's Daria, it's Nirvana, it's South Park, which I love, but there's an air of like, we're kind of above it. If you care about an issue and you enough to go protest, you're kind of a loser. I'll go into like the 2000s with Adult Swim and like Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Tim and Eric's awesome show. It's just like ironic. 30 Rock, Office. Everything's ironic. Everything's cringe. Being earnest is cringe. And in the 2010s, also, like, even more so. And then you get, like, you're online, it's Twitter, it's Facebook. Everything's cringe, and you're trying to avoid being cringe, and you're dunking on people for being cringe. We're getting a breather now. And I think it's earned, and I think it's needed, and I think a lot of people didn't realize they needed this. But Superman just being a good person for the sake of being a good person because it's the right thing to do. Sir Dunk trying to do the right thing always in every situation because it's just the right thing to do, whether or not he knows everything's stacked against you, dude. All the elites are doing their machinations. It's not going to matter if you save this person or that person because a war might come and sweep you all away. Same thing with Superman. Lex Luthor is one of the richest, most powerful people on the planet. He is literally engineering a war, a genocide, just to get at you because he hates you. It feels insurmountable. It feels like there's no changing the system that produced such a man, that produced such a world. But I'm gonna stand and fight for right anyway. That's the main thrust of this show. I think that's why it connects with people. And the fact that Sir Duncan and Egg are fucking adorable together. Their chemistry is there.
Rob me and I'll hunt you down with dogs.
You don't have dogs!
I'll get some.
Where?
They feel like two brothers. And, you know, I'm gonna get into spoilers now. Egg has brothers already, They are Targaryens. They are the people leading the world. We learn this when Sir Dunk, they're at the tournament, and he sees a play being done where they're killing a dragon, a big puppet dragon. And one of the players who's doing that is a girl that Sir Dunk had seen before, kind of has a crush on. One of the Targaryens, Aryan Targaryen, sees this and is like, this is blasphemy and treason, and starts breaking her fingers. And Sir Dunk is like, doesn't even think about it, just starts wailing on him, kicks him in the face, blah, blah, blah. They're like, dude, this is a prince, you're gonna, like, hang for this. Until Egg steps in and goes, stop, cousin or brother, I don't remember, because he's one of them too. Sir Dunk initially found Egg in an inn on the side of the road. I think it was the same inn that, like, Arya goes to in Game of Thrones. And he was a stable boy, and he asked if he could be his squire, and he kept saying no, and then Egg just followed him anyway. And reluctantly, he became his squire, and they bond. The reason he was bald is because he shaved his head. He didn't want anybody to know he was a Targaryen. I'm like, oh, that's a clever little twist. Now again, I'm like, are we gonna get into like all the lore, and this is Daenerys' fucking grandfather, and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure there are videos out there that explain the family trees and whatnot. I just saw, looking up images of Sir Dunk, like, oh, he's a great ancestor of Brienne of Tarth, and that's why she's so tall. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I'm interested in this story. He's taken into prison after beating up the prince, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna hang you. I think Uncle Baelor of this asshole prince is like, the only way you're gonna survive is if you demand trial by combat, because otherwise you're dead. So he does that, and then the asshole cousin, the asshole prince, is like, I demand trial by the 7, which is just trial by combat, but it's 7-on-7. So he's got him and his crew and his, like, King's Guard, and Dunk has to go find 6 other people to fight with him, or else the gods deem him guilty. You know, it's all stacked against the people. So he does, and one of the people that he finds is someone who we've met earlier in the season, Lionel Baratheon. So we get a Baratheon in there, who is like this he looks like Oscar Isaac to me. And he's very like, I just like to party and drink and fight. And very, you know, kind of Robert Baratheon-esque. And he's like, you know what, dude? This is giving me an opportunity to, like, beat up some Targaryens and some Kingsguard. Let's go. He's also made a friend in, I forget this character's name. Yes, so Sir Raymond is the cousin of someone else called Sir Stefan. And Stefan's an asshole, and they meet while Stefan is, like, training for the tournament and beating the crap out of Raymond. And Raymond's like, hey, you're tall, why don't you try to beat up my cousin? And he's like, I wouldn't dare. So Raymond becomes his friend, who kind of lets him sleep in the tent and invites him in for food. By the end, he's knighted by Lionel because he needs to be a knight to be able to fight alongside Sir Duncan in the trial. It is a gritty battle scene while also getting Sir Dunk's full backstory. It's the second to last episode, episode 5, where we get this trial of the 7 happening. His backstory is that he was an orphan in Flea Bottom. We've heard about Flea Bottom from Game of Thrones. This is the first time we're like really seeing it outside of Marjorie. I think Queen Marjorie went there and was like hanging out with the poor a little bit. But we actually get to humanize the people of Flea Bottom here. And Sir Dunk was, you know, a kid, and he had a best friend who was a girl, and they kind of loved each other. And they were talking about getting out of King's Landing and running away. And Sir Dunk was like, I feel you, but I kind of want to wait around for my mom to come back. She's like, your mom is dead. She's been dead. Like, it's not happening. And so they decide, okay, we're going to steal some shit, and then we're going to get out of here. But you get one Kingsguard who is particularly an asshole, who harasses them, and one moment she's getting pressed up against the wall. They're threatening her with the things they always threaten women with in Game of Thrones. And they let her go, and it's fine, but then she steals his dagger, and then he notices, and he's like, God damn it, like, this is the second time now, like, I've let you off easy, and you've stolen from me. So he just kills her. And then Dunk screams and tries to fight. He's stabbed in the leg. This is when Sir Arlen of Pennytree hears the commotion, stumbles out of a bar drunk, and fights these Kingsguard and kills them because they're doing wrong, and knights have authority to make that judgment, apparently. So he leaves, and then Dunk just follows him. Follows him through the woods and the wilderness, on the road, like eating bugs and scraps or whatever he can to survive, while not letting Arlen know that he's following him, until one day he's just exhausted from the cold and the starving, and Arlen comes up to him and he's like, get up. He extends his hand, he says, get up, and that's the beginning of their relationship. It was heartwarming to see, especially, and I love every image we get of Sir Arlen of Pennytree, because the way that Dunk talks about him in such reverence, and like, he's such a wise man, and he taught me so well, and then we'll get quick cut flashbacks, like this is, again, like a comedy show, of like Dunk, Arlen punching Dunk in the head, and like calling him an idiot, and this and that, like he wasn't this great man, but like, maybe he was when he was younger, but we never really see that. We see him being a drunk old man with like maybe tidbits of wisdom here and there. And also in episode 1, a massive dong, which again, to me, was signaled like a comedy tone for this show. Yes, Game of Thrones is famous for showing nudity, including male dongs, but this one was just like gigantic, and it was right out in front in episode 1. So it's like, no, we're really like having some fun here with what we can do with Game of Thrones property. I will say, this is my favorite Game of Thrones right now. Yes, we all love the main series until the latter seasons. House of the Dragon, to me, was like, right away, they wanted you to learn like 17,000 names. And also, they time skipped, so actors changed as well. It was very confusing to follow. It's still confusing to me. I think season 3 is coming out. I want more of this. I love this season. It wraps up nice and tight, too. Where, yes, they win the trial, and the tournament's over, and he's like just off to another place. Sir Lionel Baratheon's like, hey man, you can come, to my crib, basically, and we'll hang out, and we'll drink, and we'll fight, and it'll be fun. The Targaryens, I mentioned the uncle of Egg, I think, Baelor, is kind of the nicest Targaryen I think we've seen so far. And he's like, when Dunk is accused of like beating up the prince, he's like, yeah, the prince is an asshole. And the prince is an asshole. He kind of deserves it. His brother Maekor, the asshole's father, is like, yeah, but he's a prince and it shouldn't, and he's like telling him to shut up and whatever. When the trial happens, Sir Dunk is short one guy, and he's like, we're gonna have to forfeit, like I'm gonna lose. And Baelor comes over and he's like, you know what? I'm going to fight on your side. You're a good man. I think the realm needs more good men like you. And they fight it out. And then at the end of the episode, he comes to congratulate Sir Dunk. Because, the drag out bloody fight that he has with Aerion is intense and really well done. But he wins. And Baelor comes to congratulate him, and he says again, like, the realm needs more knights like you. Maybe you can, be part of my house or whatever. And then they take his helmet off, and he's also like, yeah, my head hurts a little bit. I think he points to Raymond. He's like, I think your cousin hit me a little too hard with the mace. He pulls the helmet off. The whole back of his skull is gone, and his brains fall out. Like, it's almost comedic, but it's like horrifying. It's truly a horrific moment and a tragic moment. You're like, oh no, the one nice Targaryen is dead now, who's also like heir to the throne and is standing up for you, Sir Dunk. So you kind of might be fucked. But then we get moments with Maekor, who's like, my brother died. There will be whispers forever that he would have been the better king than me. And every decision I make is going to be criticized on what Baelor would have done because he's a better guy. And I'm going to tell everybody that it was killed by a hedge knight because fuck you, you asshole. But also recognizing you are a good man, and that's why he stood up for you. So if you want, you can come join the Targaryens and be in Summerhall or whatever. And train with Egg. And Dunk says no, leaves. Then comes back, changes his mind, and is like, yeah, actually, I'll do that, but instead of, living in one of your castles, I want to go on the road. Like, we're going to live in inns and on the road and in whatever kind lordling's house lets us live there. And Maekor's like, dude, I can't let, he's my last son. I can't let the prince, be homeless and live like a peasant. And he's like, all right, well then fuck off, bye. So he's about to leave, but then Egg is like, hey, my dad changed his mind. He sent me to come squire with you. So they're off together on the road. And the biggest thing one of the biggest things for me was like, I think it was episode 1 or 2. In order to join the tournament, he needed like proper armor, right, Sir Duncan? He had to sell one of the 3 horses that the old man left to him. In this scene where he sells the horse, there's not much dialogue, and it's kind of all one shot with Duncan and the horse trader guy. You can feel that this horse is like family to him because he was a child when he joined Sir Aaron. These horses are like family to him. It is breaking his heart to sell this horse in particular, the white horse called Sweetfoot. He sells it to get money for the armor and promises that when he wins the tournament, he'll come back and buy her back. At the end of this season, I'm like, are we gonna get closure on this horse? Sir Raymond shows up before Duncan leaves. Sir Raymond's also like, I met a wife and we're gonna have a baby and blah blah blah. And I think this wife was like a hooker earlier in this show, so it's kind of funny. But he's like, hey Dunk, wait, I have one last thing for you. I bought the horse back for you. He bought this horse for him. And we got closure. We got horse closure. And Dunk, to his credit, he's got his 2 horses, Chestnut and Thunder. And he's walking off with them. And he's like, look, Sweetfoot, I am so happy that you're out of the horse trader stable. Thank you so much, Sir Raymond, for buying the horse. But you know what? I think she would prefer an orchard rather than going on the road with me. Implying, Raymond, you live at an orchard. Bring her home. Let her have a nice life eating apples. So Sweetfoot gets a nice happy ending where she goes to eat apples for the rest of her life. Oh, it fucking warmed my heart last night. I almost screamed. But yeah, at the end, Sir Dunk is leaving and Eggs tells him to wait. I'm here. My father changed his mind, sent me to come squire for you. They're talking about, like, where they're going to go next. And Dunk's like, we can go anywhere in the 7 kingdoms. And Egg is like, there's 9. There's 9 kingdoms. And they list them all off. And Dunk's just like, what? Just left there confused. And Egg's like, maybe we can cross the Red Mountains. I've never seen Dorne before. So maybe they're going to Dorne next season. I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. If they make more, I hope they make more. This is good shit. This is a slice of life in the Game of Thrones universe. What a regular person, what their existence is like. Not just focusing on lords and ladies and like castle intrigue and machinations and stuff. You get a little bit of that too, but you're just mostly focused on Dunk and Egg, and you just want them to succeed and get the job done, and it's fucking fantastic. Do I have anything else to say about this show? I mean, all the actors did great. It's very funny, but there are darker moments, serious moments. They let those moments sit, right? They don't undercut them with comedy. It all works. I didn't think this again. I saw the ads for this, and I'm like, oh my god, really? Another Game of Thrones spinoff, and it's also like another prequel in a different era than House of the Dragon, and I gotta fucking learn more names. And dude, if you only watch this and don't watch any other Game of Thrones stuff, you don't need to. This is good on its own. If you do enjoy other Game of Thrones media and books and the other shows, you'll like this too. It's refreshing. It's a refreshing tonal shift. And if you're like super deep into the books and all the lore, I'm sure there's a bunch of Easter eggs in here for you. Again, watch other YouTube videos breaking those down where I can't.
Are you Baelor Targaryen?
No.
Then would you move the fuck out of the way?
Yeah, sorry.
But folks, that's going to be it for me today. I just want to talk about how much I love this friggin' show. And yeah, man, like that Baby Keem album reaction, I'm upset it's gone. But, c'est la vie on YouTube and whatnot. But yeah, stay tuned, folks. I got more stuff planned. This album's coming out this Friday that I'm going to react to. There's gonna make some more video gamey content on the channel soon, because I know I've been slacking on there. Those videos take a long time to make. But yeah, folks, watch A Night of the 7 Kingdoms or A Night of the 9 Kingdoms if you want to be accurate like Egg. Take care, folks.